Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we try to make sense of the confusing world of corporate filings. Today we are diving into Moleculin Biotech's latest annual report amendment. It is a bit like when you forget your homework and something interesting to tell us. So Moleculin Biotech is refiling their annual report specifically to include information that was initially left out. This is like submitting a corrected version of your taxes. They initially skipped including certain details, thinking they could incorporate it later through a proxy statement, but now they're adding it directly. The reason they won't be filing the proxy statement in time. Let's look at the people running the show. Walter Klemp is the chairman, president, and CEO, wearing many hats. Jonathan Foster is the chief financial officer, handling the money side. Donald Picker is the chief scientific officer, leading the science efforts. There are also several directors, each with their own backgrounds and expertise. It is important to note that none of the directors are related to each other, which is a good sign for avoiding potential conflicts of interest. Moving on to corporate governance, Moleculin has several important committees. The Audit Committee, responsible for overseeing the company's accounting and financial reporting, includes Robert George, Michael Cannon, John Climaco, and Elizabeth Cermak. The Compensation Committee, which decides how much executives get paid, consists of Michael Cannon, Robert George, John Climaco, and Elizabeth Cermak. The Nominating and Corporate Governance Committee, responsible for nominating directors and reviewing governance policies, also includes Robert George, Michael Cannon, John Climaco, and Elizabeth Cermak. The Nominating and Corporate Governance Committee, responsible for nominating directors and reviewing governance policies, also includes Robert George, Michael Cannon, John Climaco, and Elizabeth Cermak. The company has a code of ethics that applies to everyone from the top executives to the accounting staff. This code helps ensure ethical behavior and transparency within the company. They also have an insider trading policy to prevent people from using confidential information for personal gain, basically. Don't trade stocks based on secrets. Now let's talk about the money. In 2024, Walter Klemp, the CEO, received a total compensation of over $1.4 million, including salary, bonus, stock awards, and other benefits. Jonathan Foster, the CFO, received nearly $990,000, and Donald Picker, the chief scientific officer, received almost $700,000. These numbers are pretty standard for executives in biotech, but let's see how it compares to their actual performance. Top of the bonus payments for 2024 were accrued at 8% interest for Mr. Klemp, Mr. Foster, and Mr. Picker. The table shows the outstanding equity awards for the named executive officers. For Walter Klemp, the CEO, there are options expiring in 2034 with an exercise price of $2.45 per share. Per share covering 100,000 shares. There are also restricted stock units which may be earned if certain targets are achieved by the end of 2025. The company has employment agreements with its top executives. These agreements outline the terms of their employment, including salary, bonus potential, and severance packages. If the company terminates Mr. Klemp, Mr. Foster, or Mr. Picker without cause, they are entitled to receive severance payments equal to 12 months of their base salary, and they all have agreed not to compete with us for 12 months after the termination of his employment. Non-employee directors also receive compensation for their service on the board. Each non-employee director receives an annual cash compensation of $40,000. In addition, the chairpersons of the Audit Committee, Compensation Committee, and Nominating and Corporate Governance Committee receive additional compensation. Directors also receive stock options as part of their compensation package. The audit fees for 2024 were almost $500,000. As of April 18, 2025, Walter Klemp beneficially owns 132,874 shares of common stock. Jonathan Foster owns 49,380 and Donald Picker owns 29,490 shares. Together, all directors and executive officers own about 2% of the company's stock. Armistice Capital LLC owns nearly 10% of the company's stock. Armistice Capital LLC owns nearly 10% of the company's shares. The company has had some transactions with related parties. For instance, there's an agreement with an entity affiliated with Dr. Preby, and they employ the daughter of Dr. Picker, the chief science officer. These types of relationships aren't uncommon, but they do require careful oversight to ensure fairness and transparency. For accounting services, Grant Thornton billed about $500,000 in 2024. The board has determined that all of its directors, except for Mr. Klemp, the CEO, are independent. This is important because independent directors are more likely to act in the best interests of shareholders. Now let's step back and look at the bigger picture. Moleculin Biotech is a company focused on developing new cancer therapies. The company has a few related party transactions, which isn't inherently bad, but it's something to keep an eye on to ensure everything is above board. One potential risk is that the company is heavily reliant on its key executives. Losing someone like Mr. Klemp or Dr. Picker could significantly impact the company's progress. Also, clinical trials are inherently risky, and there's no guarantee that Moleculin's therapies will be successful. Despite these risks, Moleculin has some strengths. They have a strong leadership team, promising technology, and a clear focus on cancer treatment. If they can successfully navigate the regulatory hurdles and bring their therapies to market, there is potential for significant growth. Overall, Moleculin Biotech is a company with both opportunities and risks. Whether it is worth investing in is something that is up to the individual reader and depends on the investor all. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, please like, comment and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of corporate filings.